Hello, everybody. My name is Cesar Reyes, also pronounced Cesar Reyes, and with me is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Drew Robertson, and this is LOC Unbound Books Bring Us Together. And we are so excited to have Dr. Carla Hayden joining us today.
And before we get started, I'm going to read a short bio. Dr. Carla Hayden is the 14th Librarian of Congress, the first woman and the first African American to lead the National Library. Was nominated to the position by President Barack Obama, and her nomination was confirmed by U.S. Senate on July 13th, 2016. Prior to her latest post, she served as CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore, Maryland, member of the National Museum and Library Services Board, Deputy Commissioner and Chief Librarian of the Chicago Public Library, Assistant Professor for Library and Information Science at the University of Pittsburgh, and Library Services Coordinator for the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. She began her career with the Chicago Public Library as the Young Adult Services Coordinator and as a Library Associate and Children's Librarian. She is a former president of the American Library Association and is the first African American to receive Library Journal's Librarian of the Year Award in recognition of her outreach services at the Pratt Library, which included an after-school center for Baltimore teens offering homework assistance and college and career counseling. She received a BA from Roosevelt University and an MA and PhD from the Graduate Library School of the University of Chicago. Dr. Hayden, it is such a pleasure and an honor to have you with us today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And it's so good to see both of you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just so excited to jump into our questions today.
Okay.
But before we do, I just wanted to say that our video series aims to highlight the 2022 National Book Festival theme, which, as we know, is Books Bring Us Together. So our hope is that the series will allow us to shed some light on individuals across the Library of Congress and to really emphasize the power storytelling, literature, and books have in forging connections between us all. So with that, Dr. Hayden, our first question for you today is, can you remember a time, or can you tell us about a time when a story or a book brought you closer to someone?
And I'm pausing because there have been different times in my life where I've shared books with people, and I'm sure you both have had that experience where you read something and you want to share it, and then that you talk to the person who hopefully will read it too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you do that. And I've had that experience with my own mother, where I've read things, and especially things that have to do with African American history. And I share them with her. And the one that we just read together, Reading with Patrick. It's about an Asian American teacher that goes to a town in Arkansas. Well, the town happens to be where my mother was born, Helena, Arkansas.
Wow.
And Patrick, this whole story, it's true life. It talks about the town. So I read it because it's the reading part, literacy, and this teacher and this young man, could barely read, and he was a teenager. So that it was really that story. But I gave it to her to see, is this true? Is this town only 10,000 people and it still is, and this and that? And they did the history, and she read it and then started to recall different things and called her best friend from those towns, who's 90 years old. My mom's 90.
Wow.
And they talked, and then we ended up sending the book to her friend, who started reading it. So now she and my mom are talking about the high school, this mentioned this, the story. So that's one book that, for different reasons, has connected like generations and 3 people. And then she's going to give it to her daughter.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I love those connections.
Yeah.
That is that's so
Can
wonderful.
bring people together. They really can.
Absolutely.
It's like a little game of telephone, one person to the next person, and all these stories kind of just evolve and appear from that one story.
Right.
And I'm curious, is it those moments with your mom, perhaps, in sharing these stories, or perhaps maybe it was another moment or event that created your love for literature or want to work with literature?
Well, that started, I was very fortunate to be born into a family of readers. So I would
Mm.
spend summers, for instance, with my grandparents in Springfield, Illinois, and my grandmother, which before I could read, of course, would read fairy tales to me
Oh,
at
love
night.
that.
And then when I would kind of doze off or something, then she'd read her own books until I go to sleep. So surrounded by readers, and then a grandfather who wasn't into novels or anything, but he loved newspapers. Okay, so he would read the newspaper cover to cover. So just that idea, and I wanted nothing more than to be able to read myself. You know, I didn't want to be read to anymore. I wanted to read. And so that's what it started. So that just really, though, gives you a sense of the power of modeling behavior for kids. And when kids see, for instance, that reading is enjoyable, even if it's a magazine or something, whatever,
Yeah.
but they get the sense, hey, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just amazing. I remember when I was younger, my parents would also, read fairy tales to me, and my
Mhm.
grandparents. And I think there's something really special about having generations, connecting with each other in that way. And I think that the generational perspective that you get, from connecting with your elders and with people younger than you is just amazing. And I wanted to ask you, about perspectives in your life. How have books or just storytelling in general, how has that provided new perspectives of understanding in your life?
They've been vital because you can read about places you've never been. You could read, and I was a history buff in different times to help you understand things or how things became. You learn things through reading. So it really opens up so much. And also, though, reading about experiences that are similar to yours too. And
Mm.
that has been powerful as well, because you're almost getting validation. There's someone else that's felt this way, or there's someone else that's experienced something that you have. So it's been that window to the world, but also a mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot agree more. I am so excited every time I get to experience something completely new in a book that I've, just never heard of before. I'm learning, but also having fun and like getting into a new world. And when Caesar and I were talking about this, we talked a lot about the idea of gaps of understanding in our own lives, right? And
Mhm.
how literature has kind of bridged those gaps for us. And so I also want to ask, why do you think it's important that books are able to bridge those gaps of understanding for us?
Well, think about what books can bring to you. Thousands, hundreds of books that can give you so many experiences and looks into other people's lives and other times, that as a human being, even if you live to be, quite a long time, you might not ever have those experiences or be able to have that look. You can't travel back in time, or you can't do all of that, or actually meet someone that and talk to them that could share their stories with you. So that's what it allows you to do, to have experiences in your head,
Mhm.
but those are powerful, that you just couldn't in your own lifetime.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why I loved reading. And I think you also mentioned as well, sometimes the validation for yourself in having the experience that you've existed in this timeline or in your life, right? And I think
Yes.
books are so important to have that. And it makes me think back to about my mom bringing me to the library as a kid and sharing with me her love for literature and wanting to share books with me and having access to books and understanding where to go. And that kind of leads me into my next question a bit of there's a distinction of the Library of Congress being the people's library and people having access to these resources. What is it for you that is important to make that distinction with Library of Congress?
When you mentioned your mother taking you to probably a public library,
Hmm.
branch library that are in community. So, and that's the major part of what this country has with the public library systems. And you have that accessibility. It's right there. You can walk to your branch or whatever. The Library of Congress is the National Library. So it serves Congress, of course, and the people that Congress serves, so all the community. So it collects papers and diaries and the recorded knowledge. And that's why we say it's the people's library, because it connects to those public libraries and the school libraries. We have a digital front door on our website where you can see the writings of Rosa Parks that are held here and preserved here. You can look at short films that are available, all of these types of things. So it is the Uber library for everyone, it really. And that's wonderful because your local library has a different part of your life. And that's where you can check the books out, take them home, hopefully bring them back, no fines. But that's where you get that immediate connection. But through digitization, we've got like, what, 61 million items that are right there out of the 173 million items that we have. And we're adding more and more. So that type of resource that belongs to everyone, because it's Library of Congress.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. I think just hearing that number is crazy to me. 61 million, and it's incomprehensible, honestly. And that's just as you said, a small number of what we have that's public facing, right? So it just makes me think about the long history of storytelling that we have as a nation, a society, and but just around the world. Humans have been telling stories for as long as we've been able to, and I think there's something incredibly special about people who love storytelling and people who love to read. And so, why do you think we continue to share stories with one another? Why is that important for us?
That's communication. That's that's how the word is a book out there, how the word is passed. That's a connection. That's sometimes the stories can give information. They can be helpful. They can be healing. We just did a program with a member of Congress about our Veterans History program, the oral histories of veterans, and hearing their stories. So you're sharing these stories across generations within families. And it's was when humans could communicate, they tried to be talking together. They're doing it's a vital part of, and it's not just humans. I think that nature talks too.
Wow. And that beautiful, that connection, right? That we're all just trying to connect intrinsically with one another, to share our deepest feelings, perhaps, or just share our experiences, to say, hey, I'm here, like I exist and you do too.
Right. Identity.
Exactly. And I know you had mentioned earlier about a book you had shared with your mom that kind of had this telephone-like connection with other people. I'm curious if there's another book recently you read that connects with you deeply currently.
Well, and I'm smiling because I have a lot of books to be read.
Yeah, my pile's like this big right now.
over there. There are aspirational books that, as I say, usually have to do with health and exercise. So there's that section. There are the fun books, the mysteries. I've been reading recently more books about libraries, of course, but there's one, The Personal Librarian, about Belle DeCosta Green. She was the librarian that first, I had read her biography a number of years ago, first time, African-American woman who passed as Portuguese. She was the librarian at the Morgan, JP Morgan's library in New York, special librarian, built that with the manuscripts, everything. And people suspected, they didn't quite know, but now it's been revealed that she was African-American and she did establish that. And it really resonated with me because when I read the biography, and now there's this fictionalized part of it, and it's going to be a movie too.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So you think about who's going to play the part, everything. She's having a moment. There's a shoe named after her. So the Morgan is doing a major exhibit about her in another year. So they're embracing this part too, that here's this woman who could never reveal in the 1920s and 30s and 40s that she was African American. But anyway, so back to that, it resonates because she was hiding in plain sight, they said. And she said, and she would dress very stylishly. And she said, just because I'm a librarian doesn't mean I have to dress like one. I said, oh, right. You know? So she was spunky and she did all that, but just that tension of what it is to be an African-American librarian.
I am planning to be a librarian myself I'm getting my master's currently in library information science. And so it's wonderful to hear stories like that personally, because it's good to see people of color being a part of this industry. And I know it's not a big portion of the population yet, but it's building. And I think that's important to increase the diversity of librarianship because it brings new ideas, it brings new experiences and connections to the library. And it's also true to change the stereotype of what the librarian needs to look like or act like. And I am right there with you of wanting to be a spunky, stylish librarian who has a little bit of the funk with it, and why not?
Yes, and there's another book, and you've probably seen it. This is what a librarian looks like, and there's a photographer that just went around and photographed librarians of all shapes, sizes, colors, everything, to show that librarians are pretty cool, basically. And then it's so rewarding, I can tell you, as a career librarian. And when I started in the 70s, we thought we were like, whoa, information is power. And we were that group and going in community services and things like that. And then it kind of stabilized for a little bit. And now to see a new generation that is using the power of technology and the way that you can reach more people and be more relatable using technology, and to know that you have a lane, and especially with information literacy and being that trusted source. And that movement, I think it's your time. People entering the field now, it's needed.
Most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially, in the younger generations, I'm Gen Z. So, growing up with technology and having that at my fingertips at all times, I think it's so incredibly important that we take that, and we do something with it, right? And we hold it on very specially to us. I mean, we have a lot of information and a lot of power at our fingertips. And I think being able to work with librarians, especially this summer, it's been amazing to see what we can do with that, right? And in these like really practical ways. So it's been absolutely amazing working with people across the library and all different ages as well. And I kind of want to pivot just a little bit in what we're talking about, and a little bit more about, you said that you started your librarian career, I believe you said the 70s, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's absolutely amazing. That is so cool. And I think about that time in your life and just how pivotal that time had to be for you, going into your career field in the 70s, and as a woman and a librarian and an African-American woman librarian. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about, books that you have read across your life during those really pivotal moments. Is there a book that you read during one of those moments in your life, and it doesn't have to be, when you were starting your librarianship, but is there one that you read that really stuck with you, that you remember reading during a pivotal moment in your life?
As a avid reader, there have been different books at different times in my life for different reasons. So for instance, when I was starting into getting into management positions, I read everything I could about develop, business and management and things. And then there was the whole thing of being a woman in leadership. And I read a lot about that. There's one book in terms of librarianship that helped me understand some of the imbalances about the fact that it's a feminized profession. 85 to 90% of the profession is female, but the top management didn't reflect that. I wanted to get more into what is this profession? Apostles of culture it's called. It's an older book in the 70s. And it's a feminist review of librarianship. Spoiler alert, Melville Dewey does not do well. Harvey Weinstein, and that's been exposed, and it's been a whole lot. There was an ALA conference, it's all that. But how librarianship has changed over time, and that was one of the only professions that women of ability could go into. And all of this part. So that was a book that stuck with me. I refer back to it all the time, and it really helped me understand maybe why I was even drawn to the profession, or just certain things that I was doing that, you know, making a home, making the library look homey. You know, there were all of these kinds of things when you look at what you're doing through it. So that was one I refer back to quite a bit. And then one that more recent, but it's been about 20 years ago, Alberto Manguel's The History of Reading. And so you're in that, but that chapter on forbidden reading, I quote that all the time, because it's about, as he said, the slave owners, dictators, and other illicit holders of power have always known an illiterate crowd is the easiest to rule. And if you cannot prevent people from learning to read, the next best recourse is to limit its scope. And then it gets into book burning and censorship and all this through the years. So that's one that stuck with me. And then anything about women and being, because you said the 70s, you know, the 70s. So women, and then the 80s were, let's just say, a challenging fashion time for women, working women. Shoulder pads. You had the little bow ties. It's kind of like that. I mean, you look back on it, you go, oh, because you know, you were women in the workplace and you were doing this, and not a good time. But and I remember that reading about the first time I wore red fingernail polish. And it was like, oh my gosh, that was scandalous.
Oh, really?
Wow. I know
so
it's
normal
hard
now.
to think about. It's like, wow, now I have no nails, but you know, but that, so being a woman in that, through that has been interesting. And then of course, a person of color has been something. So anything that talks about that has been that. So I've been all of these different books and things that I've been able to have, and I still have them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been writing them down, honestly. Every recommendation.
Yeah, I think you'll like
I'm looking them
Apostles
up.
of Color.
That's awesome.
He was something. Dewey Decimal System. He did it because he was an impulsive. He had a thing about. He had like 50 clocks at his house.
Wow.
Really?
And he would go around setting them all at the same time. So he wanted Melville. Quite a fellow.
Wow. Quite a fellow. And so as I have one last question. We have one last question for you here, and you can't thank you enough for the time you've taken to just talk with us.
For me.
Yeah, it's been wonderful for us, trust me. But considering all the history we've talked about the connection of books, what does it mean to you when you hear books bring us together?
Possibility that there's so many things going on at this time in our history, in our shared history, and so daily we're inundated with all types of things. And if books and the things that we work with and can help in any way, that's what I think about. This might be a way that we can contribute. We can't solve everything, but if we can use what we're involved in to do something to bring people together, that would be wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Hayden, for your wise words. It's much appreciated.
Well, thank you. And don't forget, you're the next generation.